Hey everyone, so this is Black117 here, and today I'll be going over our PFA Season 8 finals, and this game, we are up against good friend Epiclolz in Epic Finals Championship grudge match, rematch. I don't even know what to say. I don't know. I can't hype up because everyone's sleeping, so this is gonna be a very quiet finals if you ask me, so yeah. So anyways, so you guys like watch my team builder. You have an idea what my team are, what are the threats that Epic has, and what are the threats that I'm preparing for, and as well as the team I have more in detail. So go check that out if you want to get an idea what I'm bringing. So Epic here has Kyurem-B, Azu, Jolteon, Bronzong, Necrozma, and Mega Pidgeot. And I brought Zapdos, Scizor, Kyurem-B, Nidoking, Mew, and Mega Lopunny. So obviously this is a very interesting squad that Epic brought. Like honestly, I was expecting him to bring Shaman, Hitmontop, and maybe even Alolan Muck. But the thing that surprised me was him bringing the double Psychic. But it kind of makes sense if you think about it. So being able to like deal against the possible Calm Mind, Mew, and also being able to like deal with Lopunny itself. So yeah. Also, the huge thing I want to say is that he doesn't have a grounded poison. So along with Muck. So that means if I get T-Spikes on Nidoking, then yeah, I can pretty much wear him down for the rest of the game. So that's pretty much the plan. Trying to get as best we can and try to get rid of that Pidgeot. So, and honestly, like just looking at Epic's team, like I think of course he brought the three Pokemon like Necrozma, Azu, and Kyurem, but I think this is more of an offensive team if you ask me, because just having those three and also Pidgeot and Jolteon just inclined to me that he's just bringing some sort of hyper offensive mode squad if you ask me. So like, I just don't think having Jolteon and Pidgeot, like just having those two, I think he was probably preparing for like the Scrafty matchup or Milo as well. So he wanted to cover his corners there, so yeah. But him not bringing Shaman is going to be huge for me because that just alleviates dealing with another offensive or defensive threat that he has. Um, so anyways, for in terms of leads, I thought about Zapdos leading, but then I realized if he has Kyurem-B just start off turn one, I'm in a very bad situation right there. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to ensure that since I wanted to have the best lead possible for this matchup, and I think Mew was like probably the most neutral Pokemon. If he leads Pidgeot, I go Zapdos. If he leads anything else, I'm fine with it. So here I'm just gonna go to Blue 2 as he goes to Nostalgic the Necrozma. So like right now we just bring out our main Psychic type Pokemon that pretty much carried each other's teams. Even though Necrozma hasn't gotten that many kills, this thing has pretty much been the beatdown mon, aka the thing that just chips everything down for him. So I have to be very careful about whether this thing is Calm Mind, whether this thing is a physical set, or also if this thing is even Z move. So first of all, I decided to go for Taunt because I didn't want this thing setting up any at all. So I just go for Taunt, as he actually has Dark Pulse, and it does a lot of damage. And I'm like, oh shit, because this could mean that like he's very and he could be modest with some like defensive investments. So, and I'm like, oh god, this thing could be like his Dark EMZ. So, and I'm actually starting to worry about that right now because this is also a Z move mod. So we have to be very careful about like I was very nervous that this thing had like Dark EMZ, Dark Pulse, and I went hard Zapdos just trying to block that, because if he did bring it something like as offensive as like, first of all, the Necrozma is very offensive if you ask me. It's like close to 127 special attack, so him being a Z move just makes sense. And not only that, if it had Dark EMZ, it just kills Mew. So this was something I didn't even account for in my prep, and I just decided, you know what, Zapdos is pretty much expendable. So it's also a good time to get in like get Toxic in. So yeah. So here he goes for the Heat Wave, and he gets a crit and a burn. So I'm kind of more annoyed about the burn, or not the crit, but more with the. I'm more annoyed with the crit than the burn, because the burn I'm fine with. That means I'm not toxic. But this thing being Zapdos loses out at leftovers recovery, but they kind of cancel each other out. So I'm like, all right, fair. If you ask me. So it's just annoying that like he gets the crit, but that's Pokemon for you. So here I go for the Roost, and thankfully he goes for the Photon Geyser. So I'm already like, I already know a lot of this from his moveset, and I'm like, okay, he either has Moonlight or he has some other offensive move that I don't even know, like Rock Polish. So that's what I'm thinking right now. So the taunt wears off, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for another Roost. As he goes to Jolteon, or I go for Toxic, and I actually catch this. I actually catch the Jolteon on the switch, and I actually debated about like going like for the Toxic or for the Roost, because I felt that like obviously getting the Toxic in onto Kyurem or like any of his mons like Necrozma isn't be huge, but I'm okay with getting Toxic on this Jolteon. But of course this could be like Quick Feet, so which is something he's brought. So outspeed, like let's say top, like, he's brought like Quick Feet to outspeed like something like a Zeraora, so which is kind of crazy, but yeah, he actually brought that and it worked. So but yeah, I don't see anything on this thing, so no leftovers, none of that. So well, then again, leftovers won't even activate, and this is an offensive mine, so this thing likely may be Life Orb or maybe Z-move. So here I just go for the Roost as he goes for the Volt Switch, and he goes to Necrozma, and I go for the Roost here, and I do calc that, and I'm like, that is modest Jolteon, and I'm like, well shit. So, and I'm thinking him bringing Necrozma back in, and I'm like thinking now, yeah, this is definitely a Z-move Necrozma or something similar. So here I just go for another Toxic, and he goes for the Photon Geyser and just tries to do as much chip damage as me as possible. But as you can see, this is a 2-hit shot on Zapdos. It would have been nice if I didn't get burnt, but at this point, I'm just gonna try to stall out the Photon Geysers if he has them, and just wear this Necrozma down. So he goes into Jolteon, and I just go for the Roost. So that's pretty much all I have to do. So, and he goes for this now, like, or he just goes into Jolteon just to try to pressure me. Now here, I make a very, I guess you could say, dumb play, and I'll have to explain it right now. Basically, I was thinking, like, during prep, like, and during this game, that this thing might be Synchronoise. And for those of you who don't know, Synchronoise is a base 120 psychic move that only works if it's if you're attacking the same target. So this pretty much gives him, like, if from, like, I think just from like from base power alone, this gives him the option to run possibly Hidden Power Fire, because I think Synchronoise does 120 and Hidden Power Ice does 120 as well to Zapdos, when doubling the weakness of flying and whatnot. So I'm already like debating if this thing has Z Synchronoise, this Jolteon can actually be a problem. And because Z Synchronoise basically means Shatter Psyche onto my Nidoking. So, and if this thing is modest, then yeah. So I'm pretty much debating at this point, like, whether to stay in or whether just to get chip damage onto Jolteon. And here I just decide, I make a very rash play. Instead of just staying in or just going for chip damage on Jolteon, I decide to go for like for, I believe, the switch out to Nidoking, because during this I thought, this might be the only time to get in rocks, or just get to chip damage onto Kyurem or the Necrozma with Super Fang. But like I remember like I wanted to get toxic spikes up as fast as possible. So yeah, and this thing just pulls out the heal bell, and I'm like, oh my god, and I'm like, yep, well this is an epic team, so for sure. Because the fact that he has heal bell Jolteon, I was like, oh my god, that's actually bad. Because now my plan now switches from just getting toxic spikes to just going for super fang damage on everything. So um yeah, that's gonna be bad. But then again, this also implies to me that he may not have or he might not have Synchronoise. So because he has Volt Switch, he's got to have Thunderbolt, and maybe he has like maybe he has Shadow Ball just to hit, or even Seize Shadow Ball just to hit my my Mew. So I make a very like obvious play to stay in, set up T spikes. However, he makes a great play, and he just has this Desynchronize, and of course with Shatter Psyche, Modest Nature, that's gonna kill me. So that's a great play on Epic's end. So already I know this thing has a uh, Desynchronize, Volt Switch, and Heal Bell. So the last move either is something that's either I'm like debating if this thing has Toxic, I'm gonna be like really screwed, or he just has Thunderbolt or Shadow Ball. So um, here I decided to go into Kyurem because he can't really do much. So to me, so here I actually go for the sub, expecting him to switch out. So, and I'm just gonna go for the Shadow Ball on this Bronzong, and I do about like half to it. So it's pretty important that I get like that half damage, if you ask me. So getting like that chip damage on ensures that I pretty much I know now that this thing is not like fully Spadef. I think it's actually more so like it can be possibly offensive or physically defensive. So yeah, and he goes for the Gyro Ball, and I'm like, all right, that's fine by me. Here he goes for the Azu, and I'm just gonna go for the Shadow Ball again, and he does far less damage than usual. And I'm like, well, that's because maybe it's Shadow Ball, and the fact that like Azu could be Spadef, so this thing could be even like AV. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I want to figure out what this thing is gonna be. Like, this could be Spadef Azu with like, you know, some investment on Spadef, like an EV, and with like, you know, huge power. This could be like, you know, also the Whirlpool set. But with the Whirlpool set, I could escape the trapping via just going for sub. So that's pretty much what I was the plan and what I wanted to do. So what I wanted to go for now is I wanted to like go for the sub just to like predict him to go for like a double switch or like him going for a knockoff, because I wanted to see what he wanted to do. He goes for the knockoff, and I'm able to take that pretty easily. So, and at this point, I'm like, yeah, I can go for my Z or a Shadow Ball here, and just weaken him, and I get the chip damage, and he goes for the knockoff again. I'm like, at this point, I'm thinking this might be choice band or something, or something similar. So, but either way, like it does this time, it does more the Shadow Ball. So I'm like inclined to think that this is not AV. So, and from the range Oz is in, I'm deciding, you know what, I'm gonna go for my Z move right now. And lo and behold, Epic pulls another one on us. He goes for the Endure to live the hit and to have its Piggy Berry back. So he's now healthier than before. So already Epic has outplayed me like 2 times in a row with his hat tricks, and I'm like, wow, man, I'm getting outplayed here. So here I go for the sub. I wanted to see what he wants to have or bring, and he goes for Play Rough. At that miss, that would be cool. That would have been fun. So, and yeah, I go for the sub, and he has Play Rough. I'm like, okay, he has Play Rough, Knockoff, probably Aqua Jet, and Endure. So at least he doesn't have the Belly Drum. But at this point, Azu is super weakened, and for the Scizor, so it's 6-4. But to be honest, like like we're chipping his team down pretty nicely. The Azu is 20%. The Jolteon's in range of like Lopunny's return. The Necrozma we need to add Bronzong, and Bronzong is like around half. So we just have to worry about the other half of this team. You know, Necrozma, Kyurem, and Pidge. So here I'm gonna go for the Bullet Punch. Just get rid of this Azu. And he goes for the Pidgeot, and I'm like, alright, I have a free Pokemon right here, Zapdos. And I know this, like, at this point I'm kind of worried if this thing has U-turn. And, because if he does have U-turn, then he could go into, like, Kyurem-B, so... I was pretty, annoyed that, like, that, of losing, like, you know, the Nidoking to Kyurem, because, of course, that means I have no hazards, and I don't have a wall breaker to break these guys, so... And now it's gonna be up to Zapdos and Mew, along with Scizor and Lopunny to sweep, so, or clean his team. So here I'm just like, yeah, I could just probably. I actually went for Toxic, by the way, here, because I thought he was gonna switch out and go into like Necrozma or Kyurem. However, he just pulls a big one on me, and he goes for Hyper Beam, and I'm like, wow, like Epic just really brought his A game here. And yeah, like Hyper Beam Pidgeot, like of course this means I had a free turn, but still, like, he gets rid of one of my biggest defensive threats to his team. And yeah, like right now this isn't looking good at all. Like Epic has definitely outplayed me when he has, and it's all because of me staying in with the Zapdos against Jolteon. Because I just wanted to get rocks or T-spikes up. So yeah, I do agree like in trading my Kyurem with Azu, but yeah, those two were just like were invaluable members. So like of course losing like Zapdos was just pretty poor on my end. So, but then again, I wasn't gonna expect Hyper Beam. Even though I did prep for it, I just didn't expect him to just use it that early. So here I actually go for the Mega Evolution and just go for the return. Obviously, there's no point in going for Fake Out, and I don't want him to know that I have Fake Out just yet. And it just does give me some good information concealing. I could conceal some information, and this puts him in range of Bullet Punch from Scizor. So, but Mew of course can't beat this thing because I don't have an attack. So here I just make a very honestly, this is like the one of the dumbest plays I've made, because looking at his team, like outside of outside of the Necrozma, I should have just clicked low kick, because everything doesn't appreciate a low kick, and Jolteon gets outsped by Lopunny. I know that I outspeed Pidgeot, and I honestly should have just went for low kick here, because as you'll see, he's gonna go into the Bronzong here, and I find out that this thing is physically defensive. And if I went for the low kick, I probably would have done more chip damage onto the Bronzong. And yeah, and now I'm like calculating whether or not this thing is physically defensive, and it looked like it is. So, and at this point, I'm like, okay, I have to hope that Epic somehow chokes here and goes for some sort of setup option. You know, not Trick Room, but like something that's like rocks or something like that nature. So, but at this point, he obviously has to click a Psychic move or Toxic even, and he just probably wins this game with the Scarf Kyurem. So he may have. So here I decide to kill low kick because it does look like if he's not fully defensive, then it's a roll. And going to Mew on a possible Toxic is really bad, because I don't want Mew to get Toxic at all. That's the #1 plan. So if Mew gets Toxic, then this game's over. So I go for the low kick, and he goes for the Reflect. And yeah, at this point, he gets his Reflect up, and I'm like, yeah, this is looking like over. And this is like, he has like his dual screens Bronzong, just as I expected. And here I go for the Encore, because I just did not want him to do anything else. I did not want him to go for anything else aside of maybe Toxic or whatever. or an attack even, because um like I just want to lock him in, because if he goes hard into, well, of course if he goes hard into the Kyurem, he probably would have had a better chance there, but um yeah, like he goes for the reflect again, and honestly he goes into Necrozma as I go for the return, and yeah, I go into Mew, and he goes for the Moonlight. So, and honestly, we're still in this game. We just gotta play around the possible 5 mons that he has left with this Mew. So, here I go for the Wisp, and it misses, and he gets a crit Dark Pulse, and I'm like, I'm already getting flashbacks of the last championship I had, and I'm like, really? And it's just, and also the last game, and I'm like, I go for the Will-O-Wisp because it was kind of a desperation play, and also because I wanted to ensure that Necrozma gets some form of chip damage every turn. Because if this thing has Moonlight, I just wanted to go for it. And if he also goes for like a Kyurem-B switch in, and if he's physical for some odd reason, then I can wall it. So here I go for Soft Boil, and at this point he's just gonna keep going for Dark Pulses. I go for Soft Boils and Dark Pulses and whatnot. So at this point, Epic looks like he has this game, and I just go for Soft Boils, and he goes for Dark Pulses. But you know, he could just win this war of attrition with his other mons. He could just keep stalling me out first, and then I could like I could lose my. He just goes in Kyurem and Jolteon or Pidgeot, and it just breaks my Mew. So yeah, here I go for the Soft Boil again as he goes for the Dark Pulse, and I'm just curious why he's not switching out. And here I just go for the Wisp for a possible switch out on his end, but he actually goes for Moonlight. And I keep going for Wisp because I really want to catch that Kyurem or Bronzong. And I know that those two are going to be really annoying to deal with, so if I could shift those guys down, or like, right now at this point, I could outspeed everything, potentially. And if I could chip down Kyurem to like half its HP, I could win this game with Scizor. Like, I just gotta get everything really, really low. So, and also for Lopunny as well, so here he goes for the Bronzong, and I go for the Super Fang. He makes a good play there. But at this point, I'm like, why does he go for Bronzong when it doesn't do much? Here, I actually go for the taunt here, and he reveals Heal Block, and I'm like, well, wow, I just really that could have just ended my career. So if he had Heal Block, if that worked out for him, I think I lost that game, or I lost right there. So yeah. And here he goes back to Necrozma, and I go for the Wisp to burn the thing. And fortunately for me, the leftovers is just recovering a lot of my HP. And I go for Dark Pulse, or he goes for Dark Pulse, and here I just go for the taunt to ensure that he's very low HP. At the end of he's at 29%. Here he goes into the Bronzong, and I go for the Soft Boil. And yeah, Bronzong is recovering a lot, but I want to burn this thing to at least ensure that that we're able to like you know, cut down the like leftovers recovery. So I go for the taunt here on the Kyurem, and the reason why I go for taunt is because again, aside of I don't want him to go for Heal Block, and I don't want him to how to say, go into like Jolteon getting a free Heal Bell. And at the same time, I just yeah, like this is like a back and forth that continues for a while until I'm finally able to burn this Bronzong, and this thing is not going to recover anymore. So for the range it's at, I should be able to beat this Bronzong down with the Lopunny Scizor. So here he goes to Jolteon, and I missed my Super Fang, and this is gonna matter, unfortunately, towards the end game, because getting that Super Fang on Jolteon means that I don't have to worry about a damage roll if it's defensive shit. So, you know, max HP or some, you know, EV spread allocation. So I'm pretty annoyed by that, but at the same time, he actually goes for Volt Switch instead of Heal Bell, and he goes into like Kyurem-B, and I'm like, I finally get the chip damage I need, getting the like getting the Kyurem like at half HP, so where Bullet Punch knocks it out, or even Low Kick, for that matter. So, um, here I actually go for the taunt as he goes for sub, and this is huge because, or he goes for soft. I go for soft boil, trying to, like anticipate an attack. Here he goes for Dragon Claw, and this thing is life orb, and I'm like, wow, like I just got him. I just caught him right there. Like now he has to switch out. Like he actually has to switch out, and if he stays in, this Kyurem is dead. And I'm like debating, is he gonna go for the roll? Like because if he goes, like I'm debating, he actually switches out right now because like there is no way that obviously with Life Orb, I'm thinking that this thing is mixed, but the fact that he has sub Dragon Claw, that to me inclines that he is like Fusion Bolt as well, so and Roost. Or he could also be like, 3 attacks, but yeah, he's likely like sub Roost. And I actually live the Dragon Claw here, thankfully, and I go for the soft boil. And yeah, at this point, Kyurem, either if he attacks me, he's dead. And that's a huge threat out of the way, first of all. Like, and I think at this point he's like he realizes that he doesn't need Kyurem, or his Kyurem is gonna die anyway. So with priority options I have, and he just goes for the Dragon Claw, and he dies. And I go for the recovery, and it's basically the look now. It looks like very likely I could win this game. I just gotta wear down the Pidgeot, and yeah, or the Jolteon, and we're good. And we have to like somehow ensure that Necrozma doesn't do something stupid. So here goes for the Hurricane, and I go for the Soft Boil, and yeah, at this point I'm just gonna go for like Soft Boils here, and I'm gonna try to stall out the Pidgeot. But of course, I only have so many Soft Boils, so at this point, like I know Mute like has done its job, getting rid of Kyurem, weakening his team, and he's not going for Roost, and that inclines to me that his last move is Defog or something weird. So he gets a crit here, and I go for the Wisp. This is probably a bad play on my end, but honestly, I wanted to ensure that like I didn't expect him to crit me there, but I wanted to like sort of like Roost stall him or Soft Boil stall him, and just go for taunt when I could. So yeah, and if he goes for like Bronzog, and I could get Incisaur, I can just go for an SD and just sweep him. So that's pretty much what's the plan. But now it's gonna come down to Lopunny and Scizor versus the world. So, and Lopunny just goes in, and I know that I outspeed this thing, and I can knock out the Pidgeot. And Bronzong, I know that I could knock it out with low kick because he's low. That's fun right there. And now comes Necrozma. So now this is actually the most important turn of the game because I'm gonna reveal like the sets for Necrozma. This Necrozma's Quick Claw. It actually is Quick Claw, by the way. And it doesn't matter about the defensive EVs he has. I already know that this Necrozma is leftovers. No, I think is it leftovers or oh wait. Okay, let me just talk about the item. So this thing has Quick Claw apparently, and I know Epic is probably trying to make a bluff or something. Trying to like. By the way, he's saying that in the chat, and I'm like, really? And based on the HP damage, I'm like, yeah, I don't know whether or not he has a berry, but he's very low to the point where like return, like for sure, gets him here. So at this point, the game comes down to whether indeed he gets that Quick Claw activation. And honestly, I don't really care at this point because I thought Epic was bluffing, and I just go for the return nonetheless. So here I go for the return and knock out the Kyurem, and it looks like he was bluffing, but it's whatever because it doesn't really matter because we win the game. And wow, we were able to win this game after being behind so many times throughout this entire matchup. I think the minute we got rid of Kyurem-B, that was like pretty much the where we just immediately had the advantage the rest of the game, because of course he had like I think he stacked Kyurem because of, like, one, it wasn't like I had priority options with Scizor and Lopunny, and obviously Lopunny outspeeds. But the thing was, yeah, like we were able to chip down his team to where Lopunny, Scizor was able to win, or more so Lopunny. So fun fact: it turns out Epic's team was in fact that Necrozma set was in fact Quick Claw. And apparently he was sort of like upset the fact that it went like he didn't activate like not 15 times that he's used Necrozma. So, of course, it probably would have mattered versus the Mew exchange, but it would have mattered here for sure. But then again, like, it is a 20% chance, so, yeah, I guess that's a caveat right there. But like, given how like this game was already like hacksy as fuck, I just didn't expect that to come to play. So yeah. But either way, I think our play would have been to like just return no matter what, because I think the game would have came down to whether or not he just Quick Claw activated, and it is kind of nostalgic in a way because it there was a game like in PFA Season 3 finals, there was a turn where it came down to where his Among Us, which was in fact Quick Claw, like whether he wanted to like he could get up a Spore versus Manaphy before I had the rest hydration set, like and I didn't have sleep talk. I had like calm mind, rest, scald, and there's another move. Calm mind, rest, scald, rain dance. So yeah, he wasn't able to activate like that was how I think then that was exactly how I beat the Among Us, but with the Manaphy. But here, I think it came down to those critical turns where like whether or not that Quick Claw activates. So yeah, it's unfortunate that it doesn't activate for him, but I think for what it shows, we were able to win the game, regardless of that occurring. And I didn't want to like even like dare to switch out because of like him bluffing something, I didn't want him to like I was like, you know what, I'm gonna call your bluff, and well, it worked out for me. By the way, it was an 80% chance for me to like win the game if you ask me. So yeah. But anyways, yeah, we won, and we're PFA Season 8 champions, and this is pretty much the 4th or 5th time we win this league. And I think are also like, oh well, then again, I don't know if we count Season 7 because given how that season died out, even though I was technically awarded the co-championship, I don't think I won that league. I had the best record, but yeah, but still. All right, so back to the game. Epic just outplayed me. I'm not gonna I'll sugarcoat it. Epic outplayed me, but I outwalled, or I guess you could say positioned him. Like, because I will admit that he was a little bit passive there in those turns. I think if he had brought in Kyurem or Mega Pidgeot against Mew, he should have just been spamming Hurricanes or Dragon Claws and eventually get a crit on Mew with one of those attacks. But I think me getting that extra damage onto like Necrozma, getting that damage onto Kyurem, or outright knocking it out, and also getting rid of like figuring out that Bronzong was Heal Bell was pretty clutch as well, because that could have really fucked me if he actually did bring that. So I really think that if I was able to set up my hazards, I probably would have had an easier time like in this game. And also the fact that he didn't bring Ice Beam on Kyurem was pretty huge, and it was in fact physical sight. But of course, Mew was able to wall that pretty nicely, so that's great on my end. So there's what else I want to say about this. Yeah, Epic just played very well. It just came down to like just I for this game like I just had to figure out how to get back. You know, of course like I had Scizor and Lopunny, so I could just clean with those two, just mop up whatever mons he had. But I think it was like very imperative that like Mew doesn't get toxic, and that's why I saved it for like the very end. I knew that if as long as I'm able to weaken those mons, Lopunny or Scizor just if I'm able to like get to them in, they could just win me the game. So yeah, I'll admit Epic played very well. He played very fantastic. He brought like a ton of cool tech and heat options, if you ask me. Hyper Beam, Pidgeot, Epiclolz, Necrozma, Heal Bill, Sea Synchronize, Jolteon, Anzu with what is it? The Endure set, Figgy Berry, and Bronzong with Heal Block. So, of course, Kyurem was technically the only mon that wasn't a heat, but to be honest, like it was offensive, like physical offensive. So it's still pretty good if you ask me. Like a physical Kyurem is always it's still respectable, something you should always like consider facing when facing. So yeah. Um, but anyways, I'm kind of dragging this out. So we won another title, guys. So that's our 8th or 9th championship, if you ask me. I don't know. I don't recall how many we've won, um, but yeah, we definitely won like 4 PFA alone. But like this was, I think this one was the sweetest one I've won, even though it was sort of an RNG field with Quick Claw. But that's gonna happen. So I still feel like that winning this game, like sort of like against a player like Caterpillar with the caliber and skill as Epic, that we were able to like showcase that we're still top dog in this league, and we're probably still just as good. So yeah. So anyways, that's all I have to say about this game. We were able to win, and yeah. Thanks you guys for watching or supporting us throughout the whole season. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I gotta get out of here. So so peace.